What if the Louisiana Purchase never happened? Imagine a United States confined to the original colonies and a few added states along the Atlantic coast. No sprawling Midwest, no open plains, no California gold rush. Imagine a nation struggling to expand, surrounded by rival European powers and a resilient Native American presence. And as we uncover these alternate realities, we want to hear your opinions. Would the US be better or worse off without the Louisiana Purchase? Leave a comment with your perspective, and don't forget to subscribe for more historical debates like this one. In 1803, one remarkable deal changed the course of American history forever. Napoleon Bonaparte, struggling to fund his European conquests and unable to maintain control over distant territories, offered to sell the Louisiana Territory to the United States. For just $15 million, around $341 million today, the US acquired 828,000 square miles of land. This purchase effectively doubled the size of the young nation, opening new frontiers and securing control over the Mississippi River, a crucial trade route. It sounds perfect, doesn't it? But what if that opportunity had never materialized? If the Louisiana Purchase hadn't happened, what would the immediate consequences have been? And what long-lasting effects would it have had on America's trajectory, economically, politically, and culturally? Without the Louisiana Purchase, the first and most obvious challenge would have been westward expansion. The Mississippi River was the lifeline of trade and agriculture for the central states, but if France retained control of the surrounding land, access to this vital asset could have been repeatedly disrupted. Conflicts between the US government and France might have been inevitable as the young American nation struggled to assert its sovereignty over critical trade routes. Even more intriguing, the Native American tribes who lived within the Louisiana Territory might have retained greater control of their ancestral lands, at least for a time. By blocking or delaying westward expansion, native nations could have formed stronger alliances, either with European powers like Britain or Spain, or among themselves. This would have drastically shifted the power dynamics of the continent. Furthermore, the presence of France in the heart of North America might have created international tension. Territorial disputes between France, Britain, and Spain over North American holdings were already common. Without the purchase, the US could have been caught in the middle of these power struggles, perhaps even dragged into wars that would have threatened its fragile economy and existence. The long-term consequences of missing out on the Louisiana Purchase are even more profound. For one, the notion of manifest destiny, the belief that the United States was destined to expand across the North American continent, may never have emerged. Without the Louisiana Territory as the first major step in westward expansion, the US might have remained a smaller, coastal-oriented nation. Economically, the United States would have faced severe limitations. The Louisiana Territory was teeming with natural resources, fertile farmland, and ample space for population growth, essential ingredients for the booming agrarian economy that followed. Without this expansion, the US might have struggled to support its growing population and industrial base, paving the way for economic stagnation. More concerning, however, is the geopolitical reality of a smaller US. A confined eastern seaboard might have made America more vulnerable to attacks or influence from European powers, preventing it from emerging as a global superpower. Could Britain, with its powerful navy, have regained greater control over parts of North America? Or could Spain, which controlled much of the southwestern US and Mexico, have advanced northward into contested territories? Let's dive into some striking possibilities. If the United States didn't purchase Louisiana, how else might it have sought expansion? Would the US have turned its sights on Canada, attempting to wrest it from British control? Perhaps the annexation of Mexican territories, earlier or more aggressively than during the 1846 Mexican-American War, could have become a focal point for territorial growth. Another important question: what if Napoleon opted to sell the Louisiana Territory, not to the United States, but to another nation, perhaps Britain or even Spain? With more powerful European neighbors gaining control of the heart of North America, the balance of power in the Western Hemisphere could have shifted dramatically. A dominant Britain or Spain could have effectively surrounded the United States, boxing it in and halting its expansion altogether. And what role would the Native American nations play in this alternate reality? Without rapid U.S. settlement of the Louisiana Territory, tribes such as the Sioux, Comanche, and Cheyenne might have maintained control over vast regions for much longer. A delayed territorial conquest by the U.S. might have made for a more fragmented North America, where indigenous nations coexisted with European colonies and an American republic. Fast forward to today. What would the United States look like in a world where the Louisiana Purchase never happened? Visually, the map would likely be unrecognizable. A far smaller United States, squeezed along the Atlantic seaboard, bordered by expanded European-controlled territories to the west and south. It's possible we wouldn't even refer to the U.S. as one nation. A constrained America could have fractured along regional or cultural lines, leading to the emergence of separate countries. Perhaps one in the north, another in the south, and a third in the west, assuming westward expansion ever occurred. Culturally and economically, a smaller U.S. would almost certainly lack the global dominance it wields today. Without control over the Louisiana Territory, the hundreds of years of agricultural, industrial, and geopolitical advantages provided by the resources and landmass of the Midwest would never have materialized. This alternative United States might struggle to compete internationally, relegating it to the status of a regionally influential but globally limited power. On the flip side, this scenario might also have prevented various conflicts such as the U.S. Civil War, which was fueled in part by disputes over whether new territories should permit slavery. A smaller nation might have found it easier to address such divisions, or perhaps avoided them entirely by never expanding into the vast lands that sparked these debates. The Louisiana Purchase wasn't just a landmark event, it defined the United States' trajectory for centuries. Without it, history as we know it would have looked profoundly different. From stunted westward expansion to increased Native American presence, and from altered borders to diminished economic potential, the ripple effects of missing this opportunity are nearly incalculable. But the real question is, what do you think? Would the United States have still emerged as a global power without the Louisiana Purchase, or was it an essential stepping stone on its journey? Could a smaller, more restrained America have avoided certain conflicts, or would it have been devoured by stronger neighboring powers? Share your thoughts in the comments section. We'd love to hear your perspective on this fascinating alternate history. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history's what-ifs, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you'll never miss another historical debate. Let's keep exploring the past and imagining what could have been together.